With what we're seeing now, we're at 83 in New Orleans. We have upper 70s for some spots, so our temperatures have definitely taken off, and we're looking for those temperatures likely warm tomorrow as well. Our winds are from the south up to about 10 or so miles per hour, and the reason we're seeing partially some of this fog in some different spots from where we saw it, for example, last week, is that we have a big surface high, and that is bringing in these winds from the south. So if you have a wildfire, that means the wind would generally be moving northward. However, when we look at our winds, kind of something interesting that I spotted earlier this morning. First of all, overnight, our winds were almost calm. So if there was smoke from the wildfire in New Orleans East, a plume of smoke that is created from that fire was likely to sort of settle in that general area or that specific area. But something interesting I'm seeing now, Slidell and the lakefront both actually reporting northerly winds. So when the smoke is drifting off to the north from south winds, it may hit those opposing winds. So I'm kind of interested to see. Our models really are kind of showing mostly south winds, but where you have a smaller area of a small scale feature like those winds from the north just in this spot, it kind of stops the smoke. So that may also generally, not necessarily early this morning when the winds were almost calm, but it may kind of be keeping some of this smoke in the area as we move into today and tonight. By the way, we're not only seeing the smoke, it's the two with the fog. So this is how our fog forms. We have clear skies and calm winds at night, and our temperature, of course, is falling during the nighttime hours. It cools down, as you were hearing a bit earlier, to what we call the dew point temperature. That is where the air just can't hold any more moisture. It is saturated. So where does the vapor go? It has to condense. When it condenses, it forms clouds. That's how we get clouds. And that's where we have the fog forming and then continuing to settle and stay in some spots, thickening depending on what's going on. For example, right now we have this wildfire smoke, and that's contributing because there's more for those water droplets to condense onto. There are more particles, which we call condensation nuclei, and the water vapor is condensing onto those particles. If you have more smoke and more particles, then that means the fog can get thicker, and that's why we've been dealing with what we call kind of a new term, but super fog. That's smoke plus fog, and those are definitely the two things that we're seeing. And again, we'll have 2 more days where we could see that in the mornings. Today, though, our temperature is just hanging out in the lower 80s, so a spring-like kind of feel. Tonight, again, North Shore temperatures in the upper 50s, South Shore temperatures in the lower 60s. That will be the same kind of setup that we may see the fog once again. So this is our fogcast for tomorrow morning, Wednesday, 7 a.m. or so. Again, we will see the individual effects or just kind of the subtle effects of those winds. For example, if we have a spot where there's a little bit of northerly wind for some reason, that may kind of trap the fog potential and trap the smoke in those particular spots. And one thing we've talked about today also is the patchy nature of the fog. If you have a plume of smoke, that may create fog a lot worse in one spot as opposed to another spot. That can be some of the most difficult and dangerous driving conditions instead of the widespread fog, because just like we heard, you're going along at a normal speed maybe, and then you hit a patch of really low visibility, and you might either slam on the brakes or someone ahead of you has done that. And of course, that contributes to the problems driving in the fog, and patchy fog especially. We have high pressure off to the east. That's bringing in those south winds, but later in the week, we're getting this front moving in. We'll see how much rain we're able to get. The front may kind of stall near us this weekend. So at least we have rain chances in the forecast, and also that front will bring in some cooler air. So that will make it a little less likely to get fog after we get through the next couple of mornings. So this weekend, we are looking for those temperatures cooler and less fog potential, and hopefully some beneficial rain, which we desperately need with our drought conditions.